Council? Are y'all ready? All right. I'm real happy to see that we have such a big crowd today. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. Feel free to move your seats a little bit if you need to so that you can view. Let's get the meeting started at 6:30. We'll start with the invocation and the pledge. For Easter week, we have a special prayer. Lord, you could have entered Jerusalem on a proud war horse to overthrow Pilate. Instead, you came on a donkey, a symbol of peace. Show us how to bring peace into situations, to subvert expectations with your message that fulfills when all else fails. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item on the agenda is public comments. Miss Nancy, do we have any public comment?
Mr. Andy Perry.
Thought I was going to have a podium, but it's not.
Oh, I should have rolled it over here. My apologies, Andy.
No. Andy Perry, thanks for your time. I reside at 219 Pony Lane here in Simonton. And of course I'm running for council. That's not why I'm here, that's for tomorrow. I have a vested interest in this city. I have 7.5 acres around my property. I keep buying more because I don't want neighbors. And no, I'm not trying to raise taxes because I pay a lot of taxes. I'm probably in the top tier of everything I own. But so I'm invested in this community, comprehensive plan, trying to work with council at times, but at this time, our citizens, Simonton, need some truth. Just some basic truth. Can we be better at mankind to each other? I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, John 8:32, the truth will prevail. So the citizens aren't getting the full truth, but they're getting a narrative. Right? So let me start with your video, Congressman or Councilmember Taylor. A little too much on the Congressman. You stated in the video, you and Courtney had nothing to do with the attorney fees. I would never.
With what?
Courtney, somebody stood up and was complaining about the attorney fees.
Oh, attorney.
You did the video. Good job. You need to start putting your name on this. So you said you two had nothing to do with it. So I printed it out. Here it is, right here. All the red tabs.
Address yourself to the chair, not to me, sir.
You know what?
Mr. McJunkin, this is not the appropriate
You have
time.
rules of decorum.
Mr. McJunkin, please.
So
Go
the
ahead.
red tabs are on Courtney, and the blue tabs are you. You didn't tell us that, so I printed it out, and I did. I did what you said. Printed it out.
Good.
So that's not full statement, is it? So I really looked into it, and here's my FOIA request in 2023. Daniel McJunkin cost us almost $13,000 because of attorney fees. And if you want it, I'll give you a copy. That's how much it costs.
I have it.
So he just keeps costing us more money, but he's not running for council. So my FOIA request was on your video. Good job, yeah. Man, the blue bonus was pretty cool. But you state that you never get the credit card receipts. You never get it. But here, let me tell you your FOIA request, folks. And if you didn't print it out, you really should. These records from her should include authorized signature pages, monthly banking statements, account numbers, balances, and any and all accounts you advised by the city. Please include any textbook, New First Bank of Wallace, and any other financial institutions. And let me know if it's more than $100. So they did. Anybody in their right mind knows there's no way you're going to get that in 10 days. That is, and you never dummied it down. You were asked, can you dummy it down? We can work with you. So folks, can we just get the truth instead of the narrative? Can we? Can we do that for once for freaking neighbors? The truth.
Thank you.
Not your narrative.
Thank you. Nancy? No other public comment? All right, thank you. We're going to take the next item out of order, item 6A. We have a presentation by Brandy Crone and Tommy Kirkendall on behalf of the Fort Bend County Emergency Services District Number 4, or ESD4, for the Fulshire Simonton Fire Department regarding a petition received by the ESD for annexation into the district. Floor yours.
I'll stand over here. I like to maybe point up to the screen, but
Great.
thank y'all for inviting Brandy and myself to your meeting tonight. You know, we work for the fire department, we serve the community, but we don't always get to be at your meetings, much less Fulshire's meetings or Weston Lake, so it's always a pleasure to do that. We're here to talk about the annexation election. We're not here to advocate for or against the Proposition A and Proposition B. That'll be on the ballot on May the 3rd, but we're here to share information with you. And then when we're done, if you have any additional information, you know, feel free to contact us and we'll do our best to answer those questions. And the presentation that we're giving you this evening, Brandy, you'll get that up on our website and we'll get a link to the city so that everyone has the information. Just as a way of introduction, I'm currently pleased to serve as president of the Board of Commissioners. These are your other commissioners you see listed. We have a new fire chief, Doug Booker. Hopefully you get a chance to meet him in the near future. He followed Chief Meyer, who was here for 50 years. So it's kind of been somewhat of a transition. But I think once you meet the new chief, you're going to agree that we're in great hands. And then Brandy is the one really that keeps our whole operation together. I'm sure y'all have worked with her. She's our chief administrative officer, and she really takes care of so much that I always want to thank her every opportunity that I get. Next slide. Just a quick history of the ESD. So in 2003, we operated as the Fort Bend County Rural Fire Prevention District, and there was an election to create Fort Bend County ESD number 4, and so that brought the whole district into existence. However, we worked from that time until about 2019 with all volunteer firefighters. Almost all of the staff was volunteer, very little paid, but we knew the growth was coming. As you know, Simonton, you've had a lot of discussions about preparing for growth as Fulshire has and Weston Lakes. But in 2019, we actually transitioned over towards a full-time firefighting staff. So we had I started off my day at our ESC meeting this morning here at 8 a.m. And I think in the fire chief's report, Brandy, correct me if my numbers are wrong, but we have 62 full-time firefighters and then about 10 to 15 part-time staffers. So we have a huge department that is formed. And so with that staff, we serve, you know, the city of Simonton, the city of Fulshire, the city of Weston Lakes, and the city of Simonton has been a huge partner for us over the years. You know, you've helped us store our equipment, our tanker out there so that we can serve you as quick as possible. And so on behalf of the board, I would just like to thank the mayor, the city council, and all of the residents for, you know, just being a great teammate to the fire department over the years and showing that hospitality. And, you know, we want to do our best that we can for you. Next slide. This sometimes can be overwhelming to me. If you look at the district boundary in red, that's 106 square miles. And that's a huge area. One time I had the data, but you're looking at probably the size of Amarillo or a city like that. It's a huge area. So it's a daunting task that the board has to consider as we face our challenges of growth. But this gives you an idea of how the district started. It started by an election in 2003. However, there were a few landowners that, you know, they really weren't ready to move into an ESD, whether it was for, I just have agricultural land, I don't want to pay an ESD tax, I don't need fire protection now. Well, roll forward with all of the development. Well, those few outlying tracts, They want to develop, they see the benefit of being protected by a fire department, as the nature we have and the professionals we have. And so that really brings us to the election that we have on the ballot. And Brandy's going to go over a little more of the annexation rules and laws and how we got to presenting this on the ballot to you. So with that, I'll switch places and let Brandy do the talking.
Thank you all. All right. So what it takes to be annexed into an ESD is that we have to have property owners who are registered voters, property owners in the area to be annexed, petition the ESD asking for inclusion into our service area. So when we, if you want to show the next slide, Tommy. So for this particular annexation, there were the tracts in red that have requested to be included into our ESD. So you'll find a piece that was the previous bronze tract. You'll see areas where Cross Creek West, some of that covers the new high school that they'll be building on 359. So the majority of this territory goes up towards Waller County line that we share with them. So you'll see in the map we still have the other half of the rectangle. We have two triangular pieces that will be excluded, but what we have is the red pieces that will be voting. So the folks that are in the red have to vote for the annexation, as well as the residents in our current ESD have to vote to have that included as well. Let me go to the next slide. So this is what the Proposition A looks like on the ballot. So it's adding the property described on the notice of election to Fort Bend County Emergency Services District Number 4. Next slide. So really, when it comes to this annexation, it has to pass on both sides. So the folks that requested to be annexed into the ESD have to approve it on their end, and we as current residents of the ESD, that has to be approved as well. If it does not pass in one, it doesn't pass overall. So what this means is that they would just not receive fire protection from us. So there's some information on who is eligible to vote on the election. And then election information. So the election will be on the ballot for Saturday, May 3rd. We have the early voting. And then this room, like last time, will be used as a polling location.
So just to clarify, we're already in the ESD, we
Yes.
just be going to let that red group join?
Yes, correct. So it's of no additional cost. It doesn't raise your taxes in any way. All it is just allowing them to come in. We currently have the resources to undertake it. Once these areas are developed, as most of them will be developed by larger developers, those folks would take on the ad valorem tax that the ESD charges. So those expenses would be shared, that you currently have would be shared with those residents.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Is there any reason why the rectangle is only half covered? Is it, we're gonna have to do this again in the near future?
If the developers of that area decide to develop it and they approach us, then yes, should the ESD board vet the petition, and should they accept the petition, then yes, we would do another election.
So that portion of the rectangle will be left off until they reach out to you.
Correct. So we do not seek people to be annexed into the ESD, they have to approach us.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, Brandy. We sure appreciate that.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
allowing us to present it. If you have any further questions, contact Randy and we'll do our best to get those answered for you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. We can connect folks through City Hall. If you have questions and need to get to Brandy, let us know. We'll be happy to connect you. All right, item 4. We're going back to item 4, monthly financial council report. It's a how-to presentation is how that's listed. And this is included because there have been questions at numerous meetings, most recently at last month's meeting, about items that are on the monthly financial report, and why don't we have the credit card statement? Are any of these items in this report from the credit card statement? So what's included for council, and you all will have seen it online if you downloaded that, is it's included for presentation now is the credit card statement, the Hudson Energy bills, it's 2 pages, a receipt from the United States Postal Service for some mail that was sent, a Sam's Club receipt, an Ace Hardware receipt, and an Amazon receipt. All from this month. They coincide with the council report for this month, which is actually February, but that's being presented for this month. So if you were to take the City of Simonton council report, when you look at it online, it's handwritten, it says council report right on it, and then compare to the items that are attached in this section, you can go right down the list. The very first one on the Visa card statement says Adobe. That's our Adobe subscription. It's paid for with the credit card. It's $25.49. It's line number 2 on the council report. So you can go through, and every item on this Visa bill is on that council report. Every receipt for the electric bill, the revenue management, making the cut, which is our lawn service. So everything that's in the credit card bill and everything else that's paid for the month is included in the council report. So if we gave only the credit card statement or only the receipts from that month and not the credit card statement, you wouldn't get everything. So the council report has been and still is intended to give all expenses by item to council and to the public because it's included with the documents you receive when you can look at the agenda online, just posted the Friday prior to our meetings. It's not a complicated presentation, but just sort of to call that out because the question has been asked by council multiple times. I just want to make sure that it's understandable and clear. When I keep saying every charge is on this report, I like you to be able to compare and contrast. So since council, y'all received this last Friday, has anybody got a question about that at this stage? Okay, great.
Hold on.
Let's move on.
Hold on.
So item,
Hold on, there's a question.
Okay.
This particular council report states you have bills from January, you have several bills from January, and this is a February statement. So again, I guess we're paying bills late or whatever case may be, but it also does not include,
council member, what's your question?
I was getting there, it does not include DirecTV. It only includes Hudson Energy. It does not include half of the other bills that you have shown in previous accounts.
If it was paid in February, it's on this report. If it wasn't paid in February, it's not included. So if their bill came late, if their bill came early and we paid it early in the last month, but every item that was paid for February is on this list.
So is it normal that we pay these bills just that late?
They get paid when they come in. Not everybody bills on time.
So Eddie Peacock didn't bill on time, Making the Cut didn't bill on time, and Abby Ferguson didn't bill on time, is what you're saying?
I'm not calling out individual ones, but if you like to go through them, we surely can. So Making the Cut is on, one moment, I've got to answer Courtney first, just 1 second, and I'll take yours next. So about 3/4 of the way down, on February 28th, is the invoice date listed. There are 2 line items because we get 2 bills, one for City Hall and one for the common area on FM 1093. One for $75 and one for $1,200. It was paid in the month of February. Julie, do you want to add any context? The February bill was paid on February 28th, so what is the...
I think because this is specific to an item on the agenda and we're on number 4, which was just the presentation. What I recommend is if we're done with the presentation, we move into item 5, and then if the items need to be pulled off consent to have this discussion, we're at least under the agenda item. That way we
Okay.
can continue.
So is your question about how to read it, Courtney, or is it about the specific
Why are
items?
we paying bills?
Okay, well, so how about if we move
This isn't-
per Phil's suggestion, and since this will be a report on the consent agenda, you could pull it off at that time.
And that was my question.
Great.
We had moved on to 5?
Nope, we're still on, this is how you read the report. Did you, either of you all have questions about the actual, what's on the report, why? Okay, great. All right, item 5 is consider and take action on the consent agenda. Do you want to pull an item, Councilmember Cox?
Yeah, obviously, we have, according to his instruction, we need to pull that last item.
We don't actually, if somebody would like to request to pull an item, now would be the
Pull
time.
that item so that we can discuss it further, yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yeah, I would
So
like
we'll
to read-
pull the, I'm sorry, just one second. The council report, which is item B, and you have a question about another?
The minutes and also the revenue and expense report.
All right. So item C, the payment report, which is our income, remains on the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a second from Burns. All in favor?
Can I ask one real quick question? You have the payment report listed as the council report, so is that?
So right this second,
Pulled, or
we-
the-
Item C, the payment report, in parentheses says income, is the item that's left. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right, item A, draft city council meeting minutes from March 18th. We didn't receive any corrections in advance. Did you have a correction?
Yes, a couple of corrections. One, if I can find it again, was right at the end, because Kelly has changed her name. It says Kelly Carlson all the way through it, except that last paragraph, and it says Kelly Matula, so that might be confusing in years to come. And the other thing is, right at the end of the last month's agenda, I had asked for 4 things to be put on, and that was to discuss the contract with RMS, to discuss the contract with Granicus. Thankfully, those are on there. To talk about roads, that's on there too. And I requested that the EDCs be added to the reports. So I made all those requests, but they're not on those minutes. So I just thought better put those on.
They're all on tonight's agenda, though.
Yes, they are. Thank you.
Council, do we have a motion to accept the draft city council meeting minutes with the correction of the name Matula on the last page? Changed to Carlson? Thank you. We have Burns and Justin. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Item C, the payment report. I'm sorry, item C was approved. The council report, item B. Go ahead, Faith, if you have a
Okay.
specific question about item B.
Mine was on the revenue and expense report.
Okay, so we'll get to that next.
Okay.
Courtney, you have a question about the council report? Are you ready for us to just give the answer about making the cut that we started previously?
No, ma'am. In the council report, sorry, I just flipped through. In the council report, you did provide several, 4 or 5 receipts here. But the Hudson Energy in particular, I know this was a topic at last month's meeting. We asked about the addresses because there was 3 addresses listed, and it was actually twice the amount. And now this email or, excuse me, this invoice, not email, is listed for half of that. It's only $400 and less an address completely. What happened? Did we quit paying for something?
Okay, hold, go ahead, Julie.
Page 3, I put a note per Hudson Energy, unable to capture reading online will show on next month's billing. So if you look at the bill, you have the 2, which is going to be the villages of Simonton. And I called and I said, well, where was our meter reading for the other one? Their response was, they were unable to capture it, they went ahead and billed it. Hudson Energy is on automatic payment, so you're going to see an increase in the next month's bill just because they weren't able to capture the meter reading online. And I put that note on the bill on page 3.
Thank you, Julie.
So
Did you have any further questions?
this was dated as 1/27 and is now 4/15. I'm assuming you've already got, God willing, you've already got that bill?
Okay, so we provide monthly statements. You're looking at February. So Hudson Energy is on the credit card statement as an automatic billing. The reason why you see some January transactions is because our credit card bill is not traditional from the 1st to the 28th. It's going to have the last few days in January, and then it goes through, I don't know, on the 25th, 26th. So when I have to place this in the system, because it got paid in February, this is considered the February bill. So these are not delinquent. These are automatic payments for the subscriptions on here, but it's just the way the cycle of the credit card bill works. So it's just a way that we have to put it into Hudson Energy so Peacock can reconcile.
Okay, one last question, I'll leave you alone, I promise.
Okay, no, you're fine.
This says bank draft e-check.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me look.
The payment types all say, with the exception of 2, for the entire month of February, say bank draft e-check.
Correct. We
Who
pay
does that?
everything electronic.
Okay?
I tried
Who
to-
authorizes that?
Electronically, I get approval from Lori, and I initiate the payment on FundView.
So the invoices are approved by Lori,
Correct.
never by council, and then you hit pay and it's gone, right?
Correct.
Okay.
My approval was
And I guess, Lori, my only other question is, I mean, I don't know how often this happens. However, there are a lot of monthly bills that appear in previous council reports that are not on here. DirecTV, T-Mobile, AT&T.
I can address
Oh, no, I'm sorry. T-Mobile and AT&T are on here, my bad.
Yes, they are.
But not in its entirety, or if they're seemingly past entirities.
Go ahead,
I'll
Julie.
address it. Those are on automatic payments, so
Okay.
it depends when, so they send an invoice, then they hit the credit card. We put those on automatic payments, so we don't obviously have control of when this cycle hits. So you will see those payments into next month. It's just the way the credit card hits and how I have to put it in the system for Peacock to reconcile time. So I can't put charges that are not on this bill as, those will be appearing next month.
And you, just for clarity, you don't put charges in FundView until they're approved by Lori, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And I know you mentioned making the cut, it's how he invoices we pay monthly. So it got paid on 2/28 and also, I believe, 2/3. It's just because of the cycles of the end of the months. So you'll see January and you'll see February on this report. It's just because of, A, the way he bills, and 2, because of weekends or days that it hits.
Thank you, Julie. Any other council members have questions on this report? All right, do we have a motion? To accept.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Kelly, Burns. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay, sorry.
We have one opposed. Councilmember Cox. Thank you, the item passes. Item D is the Revenue and Expense Report, February 2025. What is your question, ma'am?
Well, I wanted to hand these out, so pass that on down. It's because I couldn't explain it without you all. These are exactly the same if you
Okay.
just pass them down.
I sure will.
Okay,
Is this
because I
your
can't talk
summary
about it.
page?
Yes, unless they're looking at it, because you always want to know what page I'm talking
Right.
about and everything, so. Okay.
So this is on revenue and
So-
expense.
Yes, so what you want to do is, so many times, I just don't feel like the finances that we get, especially on this particular report, are not correct. So I just wanted to point out a few things, and I apologize, Julie, I should have brought another copy for you. But on the, if you look on the expense report, where it says health insurance, you see that? It's 105002. And it's in, let's see, you'll want to look at the one that says supporting documents up at the top. And if you go over where it says current year budget, it says $9,000. But if you look at the budget, our budget that's online, the dollar figure that should be there is $28,800. Same thing with 105030 technology, and it says the current year budget is 9,000, but when you go to the budget that's listed online, the actual number is 20,000. It should be there. And if you look at 105033 bank charges, it's not even on the current budget. That number is not there. If you look at 105205 payroll tax expenses, it says that the current year budget is 12,000, but it actually says 21,000 on the current budget. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but for some reason, the numbers don't match our current budget, even though it says that that's our current budget figures. Again, on the revenue report, if you look at the supporting document, the 4011 and a quarter, 4011, and it's the 1/4% sales tax for roads. It says on that report that the current year budget is $52,419, but on our budget that's online, it says $54,150, and the next line, sales tax, EDC 4B, says the current year budget is $104,839, but our online budget says that it's $101,785. So all these numbers, even if one was off, the whole thing would be off. That's why I can't say yes on this report. And I also have questions about the interest that we're making. Last year, Lori, you said you'd invested $1.5 million at New First and Cedars, and that amount of money invested at just 4% compounded is over $61,000, and that's over $5,000 a month. But this report says that, let's see, where is it? I've got too many pieces of paper here. It says,
Do you mind if I stop you just for a second?
Yeah.
And let's take a couple of these, since you brought a bunch of points in a row, that way we can address them as we can, and we can get to the interest for sure.
Sure.
Since we haven't seen this in advance, I can't address every single item, but I could give you some examples, like when you said on page 1, 2, 3, 4, about bank charges under legal and professional, 10-5033, that doesn't appear at all in the budget online. That's right, and that's why you see where it says current year budget is 0. What this shows is that in a previous month, we've spent $50. So year-to-date expense, the current month is 0. So the reason it reads negative budget balance is there wasn't any money in that line item.
That's fine.
So we've
That's
posted,
just-
so there could be things like this.
That's
And
one,
also
but-
budgets where they roll up. So if you're looking at a detail page, because this is revenue and expense, there could be that you're looking at the detail, because you remember all the subsequent pages roll up. So we need to check that and see if there is something there that either there's an error or we're not rolled up all the way.
Well, there's lots
Do
of
you have
errors
some,
on,
if you don't mind, just one second, let's let Julie weigh in. Julie, can you identify anything that you want to point out now, or do we want to just
I'm
look at
gonna
this
have to go
later?
back and look at the original budget. I did not bring a copy, but some of these are group
I've got it there.
categories. So if I would have had this in advance, I could have prepared. I will be more than happy to look at this and then give you
Sure.
some direction. The revenue and expense is not the actual adopted budget.
well, what the only figures I was looking at, not current, anything that would roll, but just the stationary numbers that should say, 28,800, say 9,000. That says 25, that's the current year budget.
I will be more than happy before I make any comment, to go back and review and address, but without actually reviewing and analyzing, I can't
Sure.
comment. But I'll be more than happy to take this information with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Do any other council members have a question? Do either of y'all have a question about this report at this time?
I have one
Okay,
question. I have
just
that-
1 minute, I'm not quite to you just yet. Sorry, did you say no? All right. Justin? Just a second, Courtney, 1 second. Any questions? Okay. What's your question,
The only
Courtney?
question I have is, I know for a fact I asked this in our budget meetings over and over and over again, and I think Faith tried to bring it up, but you kind of squashed it. On your revenue and expense report, you show an interest level income of $2,601.15.19, year-to-date expense and or revenue, which would be our interest income from the tax pool or Cedars accounts, along with an additional $7,244. That's only $9,000 approximately. We'll say 10 just to give it a boost.
Can you tell me what page you're looking at?
I'm looking at the very third page of your revenue, the one that you guys provided, the revenue and
Right.
expense report.
Under interest income?
Interest income and interest income from tax pool.
Yeah.
In the budget meetings, I asked where that was shown, and you said, well, we don't count that. However, in this document and in our budget, to Faith's point, it's actually listed as zeros. When we know that last, I think it was July at the latest, that you had taken the 1.5 and put it into the tax pool and Cedars accounts, and that was a very high yield interest.
So,
It should be way over $10,000.
so first of all, there's not an additional new pool of $1.5 million. So the money that we've had has continued to be reinvested in tax pool or Cedars, wherever it resides, and at higher and higher rates. So just to be clear, there's not a magical new 1.5 million that came from somewhere, but I have continued to reinvest it. I think we've also shared that our CPA firm that we've engaged, this council engaged last year, has been working really hard to get those accounts that were previously not included in Fund View, including all of those Cedars, entered into Fund View and reporting, or being able to report, where we haven't had that capability in the past. Do you have a correction or comment on what I'm saying?
I mean, if you want to email me your questions, I can look into it and respond. I'm not
Right.
prepared to answer right now. I have to do some research.
So the CPA firm is the one that's adding interest into, have added the accounts in, and now the interest can be captured in this report. So there's more information available to council as we go. Since, again, we didn't know there were any questions about it, I didn't specifically ask that question for this month, but I'm looking at the amount of interest that's been captured in the report.
Yes, but
Certainly you can do that.
At 4.7, which is what they were invested at last May, that adds up to, someplace, it's like $72,000 worth of interest on $1.5 million. This
It would.
right here says new first $200 for February. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Where is all the interest?
We'll be happy to get that for you. Again, since you
It
didn't provide
should-
this in prior, I don't have
But
your
it-
answer because you didn't ask
Why
me.
isn't it on that report, though? It should be on that, we shouldn't have
Honestly,
to go.
Faith, I'm
get
not
it.
aware that something's missing, so since you didn't tell me you thought something was missing, I haven't asked additional questions about it, but we can do that.
Okay,
And I will
so,
also clarify with Funview that this report is going to include all of that information, so I will get that as well.
okay. Maybe since we've got all these questions, I want to make a motion to pull this one until next month, and you
Are
can
you
look
making
at
a
all these
motion to
things.
table? Yes, table. Okay, so we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
One second.
Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor? We have Burns, Courtney, and Faith to table. All opposed? Justin and Kelly are opposed. Motion carries, and we will table that item to next month. All right, moving on. Item 6A, consider and take action regarding capital improvement plan road work requests. In your council packet, I apologize, that's not true. Tonight, an additional packet of documents was with your books when you got here. It's a map that shows the grant money that we will be receiving. It's getting ready to go to contract and do all the steps. The map of the work and where it is planned. It coincides with the first page in your packet. At the top lists the roads that are on that grant for drainage work and for road work. The bottom section is the decisions that this council made a year ago about 4 roads to be repaired using the money that was allocated in the budget. The recommendation is that we make some adjustments to those roads because we have some that are in much worse condition. So you'll see the note at the bottom. I'll give y'all a minute to read it since you just received it this evening. The proposal is to remove Canyon and Custer, which are on this list for overlay. It's paper clipped together and it was on your, just on your book when you got here. The map itself is folded in half because it's a large size. Okay. So what I'm recommending is that we remove Canyon and Custer for overlay at this time. Custer already has drainage scheduled to be worked on in the CDBG MITMOD, which is the mitigation grant. Delay work on that road until the drainage is complete. Although it has room for improvement, it also is not one of the roads that is in the just absolute worst condition. Canyon is in pretty good condition due to how well the last overlay went and the lack of flood, which erodes those pretty quickly. We have some other recommendations that are in much, much worse shape. So at the top of the list for that project that was already approved by council is Hondo for full street replacement, Buckboard for full street replacement. The combined budget for Canyon and Custer is $63,000. So if you were to decide to tackle Bridle or Ranchero, which both are in a condition to do a complete rebuild, they are down to gravel and pothole, just like Hondo, you would be spending essentially the same amount of money. So the reason that I'm asking council now and not waiting for new council in a month is that we have an opportunity to revise the roads with Fort Bend County Road and Bridge and possibly get put on the schedule this summer. They are already booked and looking at 2026, but there might be an opportunity for us to get that work done. So we don't want to delay another month if we don't have to make that choice. so that we can resubmit our request and make sure if they have time to do it, that we get the most bang for our buck as soon as possible. So I realize that it says in your little box at the bottom of that page about the recommendations to recommend buckboard. You can see it above it, the buckboard's already on there. So bridle or ranchero are both in a condition that it would be money well spent to take care of those. Do we have any questions?
I do. The recent MITMOD project requires us to, I'm trying to find the number, and I apologize, I'm just making my papers here. Requires us to follow certain terms in order to be eligible to receive that money and get on that schedule. That requires our audits. So where are our audits? Our audits were supposed to be due on May.
So that's not on this agenda item. I have audits in our report later in the meeting, so I can update you about audits, but it's not really this agenda item. What we're talking about now are the general fund request items. I'm giving you the MITMOD at the same time so that you can see how the road projects would work interlocking with each other.
Right.
I will go ahead and give council one more little piece of information. It's not little, but in this year's budget, we have $229,586 in the 2025 adopted budget. That includes $200,000 that's encumbered from previous year. So if you were to approve bridle or ranchero for $1,000 more than what you've already budgeted in this capital improvement general fund request, you do have the budget already set aside for that this year. All right.
And you mentioned adding a Hondo, right?
Hondo is already on the list. So Hondo and Buckboard are already on the list for full street replacement. I'm proposing we take off Canyon and Custer and use that $63,000 either on bridle or ranchero.
So does that negate the previous monies approved by council to fix, or to pothole fix, I should say, Honda?
When I met with Fort Bend County Road and Bridge and we discovered there it could be a possibility of them becoming available to do the full project, they agreed that it would be money better spent if we can go ahead and get that done so that we don't spend the $7,000 to just blade some asphalt on Hondo as a temporary patch and then have to tear it up in a year or two. So yes, answer would be we wouldn't spend that $7,000. If we discover that they're not available, we could revisit that, but the point here would be to continue moving forward with the full replacement, and if they can help us faster, then we want to be ready to go.
When would we have an idea of the estimated cost, seeing as that this is from 2023?
These costs are still accurate. All right, council, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, how would you like to handle the selection of the road? Or how would you like your motion to read?
Remove Canyon and Custer from the project list.
And replace with one or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Buckboard's already on this. We're not
Yes, sir.
removing it, so
That's correct.
that's not
Yeah,
an
you
issue,
just-
right?
Right, so we're
So
looking
we
at,
either pick bridle or ranchero.
if you like, we could let Fort Bend County Road and Bridge or LJA help us select which one of those streets
I
would be
think that
better,
would be great.
since their costs would be the same.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion with Kelly and a second from Burns. Write it on the right line.
Question, so was the motion to allow Fort Bend County to review make the decision which road needs it.
Right, we'll take the recommendation of Fort Bend County Road and Bridge or LJA Engineering
Okay.
to make that decision. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Item C, consider and take action regarding a joint election agreement and contract for election services between the Fort Bend County Elections Administrator and the City of Simonton. This is the agreement to pay for the election. The estimated cost is $7,696. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a Burns and Justin. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous. Item D is receive a report regarding revenue management services. This is the monthly report provided by Revenue Management Services, Inc. Highlights this month, March 2025 represents a 5% increase in taxpayers when compared to March 2024. Average number of taxpayers filing each month is 521. Just a reminder that this is sales tax that's being reported. February 2025 reflected 607 taxpayers. It's the highest number of taxpayers remitting allocations in the history of the City of Simonton. The three-year comparison by month shows March lower, the lowest of 3 years at $26,961.82. However, February was the highest month ever reported at $37,156.10. So we'll get the report in April and watch that flow. We can bubble up questions if we have them about that.
Oh, I went through.
The top
and-
25.
I went through and looked at the difference between 2023 and 2024 was we had almost $70,000 less than we had in 23. And this year we've only made $2,793 over what we did before. So an increase.
I think you're ahead of me on the pages, but
Well, they don't
Great.
have those
No problem.
figures. I added them up because they don't seem to have totals like that on here. You have to do it yourself.
our top 25 taxpayers over 12 months combined generated $310,231 in sales tax. We don't get all that, just for the record, that's their total. On page 10, it shows the total recoveries, $36,998.20. That is recoveries made by RMS on our behalf over time. And this report also gives the top 10 e-commerce businesses, sales tax allocations, compares current month, gives you a 5-year running average, and then also gives the 5-year information by month.
Can you tell by this exactly how much they do make for us every month? When it says total recoveries,
It depends, so the recovery that's listed usually is if they are able to uncover entities they're not reporting or that they've reported in the wrong location. So that money comes back to us. Monthly, they're making sure that the entities are continuing to report, that there aren't any missing, and going through the information provided by the comptroller to keep a close eye and a watch on it. So, go ahead.
No, I have a quick question. I know that, I think Faith somebody asked that this contract be put on the agenda for this month, and I realize we're just receiving a report, so if it's not applicable to talk about it, I'd like to talk about it. If not, let me know.
Right, so we're just receiving this month's report. At this section, we do have a discussion about their agreement later in the agenda.
Okay, got it. I'll wait.
Any other questions about this, the March sales tax report? All right, item E, receive a report regarding CenterPoint Energy's annual franchise payment calculation. We've talked about this previously, and we're just including for your information the calculation worksheet. This is effective July 1st, 2025. Item F, receive a report regarding the announcement of distribution from the Opioid Abatement Trust Fund. That supportive document starts with an email from Texas Trust Treasury. And when we provided the documents, we hadn't received payment yet, but we did receive that today. It's $567.57. Item G, review, consider, and take action regarding contracts between the City of Simonton and Revenue Management Services and Granicus. Granicus is not included because we do not have all of the latest information and a recommendation about it, but we'll carry that to a future agenda. We do have the agreement for Revenue Management Services. It is
Why can't we talk about Granicus? I mean, it is on here.
Well, first we're talking about Revenue Management Services.
Well, let's
You
come
can
back to
see the
Granicus.
report date, March 8th, 2025. This is a request where I asked RMS to give us a summary report of the recoveries that they've been able to gather for the City of Simonton over time. So you'll see on page 2, to date, a combined $36,971.09 has been recovered and returned to the City of Simonton. Majority of those funds came in September and October 2023, when the city saw a 47% increase in sales tax revenue when compared to the same time range in 2022. An estimated $25,000 was returned from e-commerce sales tax dating from 2018 to 2023. A ledger of the sales tax receipts by months and years follows on the next page. So Ryan Fortner with RMS was able to provide that as a summary of what they've been able to accomplish on our behalf. And then the following pages are the actual agreement for services. And since this was an item requested by you, Councilmember Haley, do you have questions or additional comments about revenue management services?
So what I wanted
What's the
to
question?
know was, it looks like, I mean, we didn't have them in 2018 or 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, but we were still, getting this sales tax money. I just wonder if it is advantageous to the city to continue paying $12,000 a year for this service. Is it of added benefit to have someone looking at it? I know he did recoup a lot for us in the beginning by addresses, but the rest of it, isn't it already on automatic pilot, so to say?
I don't have the answer if it's automatic pilot. I know that they use I'm going to call it a mining system. That could be the wrong term for it, but they've set up electronic systems. Once they've gotten permission from us, and then they get permission from the comptroller's office and any required business owners, then they can get the data at a more significant level or a deeper dive level and provide the recaps and the information about it if we discover there's something missing, or frankly, if they discover there are payees missing. That's their focus. So council would have to decide if it's worth it to continue, or if you want to take some sort of action regarding that. It does cost $1,000 a month. The reports are provided monthly. They're very consistent about it, and that's up to council.
I have a question regarding this. I had also asked for this to be put on the agenda, and thank you, Nancy, for sending me this agreement. The agreement is not dated nor signed by him, and it does state within this agreement that if he does not supersede his costs in any given month, that, to your point, it's up to council to decide whether or not we need to consider the services. At a cost of $13,000, with an influx that obviously we're grateful for, of the initial influx, that's been a long time ago. And we are still paying $1,000 a month, but actually seeing a downturn in revenue that they're bringing in. So I guess my question would be, you know, we saw 2 months, looks like anyway, in 2023, where he did go and capture what appears, at least by the report, from iCloud Business. But then, since then, or at least last year, those same months in 2024 were less than half of what they had recovered the year prior. So he claims $43,686.60 were recovered in whatever month that is in 2023. That same month, we recovered $23,577. So, and based on the fact that the contract says itself, when we don't pay for ourselves, you guys quit paying us, it only makes sense. So I guess that's why I brought it. I don't know what Ms. Haley decided to bring it for, but that was the reason I had brought it to the attention of the city as well. Just because by appearances, we're paying $13,000 for a drastic loss.
So if I might just correct you, this is $12,000 a year. It's $1,000 a month. Just that, you know, that extra $1,000 makes a difference to us all.
Sure. Sorry.
The data being sliced, diced, mined, and being available, council has to decide what is that worth to you. If the council doesn't need it or want it any longer, if we don't want them to be searching for any missed revenues on an ongoing basis, or if this is too expensive a price, that's council's decision. At this point, there is not going to be a substitute for this on the city staff at this point. This is not a capability we have, and we certainly don't have the staff.
Lori, if I remember correctly, at one of our meetings, we talked about joining forces with this company in order to help us with our post office debacle that's going on. So why would we actually cut this loose and lose that resource? I mean, because then we're starting over from square one. I don't think that's right together.
But wasn't that all corrected? That was
It's an
those
ongoing
addresses.
issue.
We're still not getting the money.
And that's why you have somebody like this who is looking into the data continuously.
Kelly, what do you mean we're still not getting the money?
Wallace still gets the revenue.
Well, then why are we paying a
Is your address
service?
Wallace or Simonton?
What's yours?
Mine's Simonton.
I have a Simonton
But I don't
and
have
a
a PO
Wallace.
box.
I have both.
But I do know that I can't order things and receive them. I actually have to have them sent to my office.
Well, if after all these years, if we still have an awful lot of people who their sales tax is going to Wallace instead of Simonton, and he's been working at it a couple of years, then I'd say he hasn't done his job.
It's not his job to fix it.
I think we're overstating if we
But
say
to
that
find
RMS.
it.
I think we're
I'm
over-
sorry, I used the wrong word.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry,
I think
Kelly.
we're overstating if we say, without him being here to talk about the technical details, that RMS is not being effective at capturing as much of that is possible. So part of what they do is they've loaded the zip codes that physically are in Simonton, and they use that as part of their capture.
I guess I would like to make a motion to put this on the next agenda to be relooked at with his assistance, simply because what is once found doesn't just go back up into the cloud. Once you locate it from Netflix or Amazon or whatever, and you identify the problem, it doesn't just go back to being a problem. It's identified and it's noted, and the significant amount of, I mean, from $43,000, it's almost $700, to $23,000, and it's costing us $1,000 a month, that's a loss. I don't care how you look at it. That's a significant loss.
You are right about that, but let's be careful to understand that sales tax revenue can go up and down. That's not the fault of our data company. That's just people are buying less, or the month is shorter, and that's, I mean, let's be careful not to make that part of the equation.
To do a job, and that was to go identify taxes that were not available to us currently. They have apparently, by the numbers I'm looking at, done said job. I mean, in 2023, they did 429,000, or they're claiming, I won't speak for the man, $429,653.04 worth of recovery. 2024, it's $359,000, and we paid them.
Okay, I'm real sorry, but that's not the recovery. That's the amount of sales taxes that were.
That's exactly why I'm making my motion. So that
Well, you're saying 400 and something and 300 and something, and that is not, he is not claiming that, because that is the sales tax that's been collected, and he's reporting it. What he's saying is $36,971.09 that belonged to Simonton went somewhere else, and they were able to recover it and correct the records with the state comptroller so that the money could be returned to Simonton where it belongs.
Do they have to
So-
do you know if they have to currently request that information every month or every year from the state, or is that an ongoing once they?
It's monthly. He pulls the data monthly and provides a report.
Requests and to get it to come in. So as soon as let's say we quit using them, they're not mining the data, we will lose everything that he's requested.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to, you want to say your motion again?
Yes, ma'am.
Courtney?
I would like to make a motion to revisit the contract with RMS Management Services, provided that Ryan can give us a report of what they, not our property taxes and sales taxes, but what they have effectively gained in their contract service.
Okay, and you want that to be different than what he's provided here in writing?
Because he's not, you just said it yourself, he's providing everything that's all pure sales tax, everything, the whole dollar, and he needs to provide what they've done. If you're in a sales job and we're signing a contract with you, you show me what you brought to the table. Otherwise, I won't get
Okay,
paid.
I'm not saying you can't have it. I'm saying he provided a 4-page document here, the first 1, 2, 3, I don't know, I think 4 pages. Maybe it's 3 pages, as a summary of what they have recovered for us. So if we'd like him to come, he is certainly willing to do that, but I would like to be sure we ask him for what you're really looking for. He's already provided what you're saying right now. If there's more, like technical data, I'm sorry, but just if you wouldn't mind to let me finish. If we can outline specifically what technical information we want that is in addition to what's here, I'll be happy to ask for that.
The information he provided on page 6, sorry.
No, it's only the first 3 pages.
Okay, well, the first 3 pages are the top page, the Revenue Management Services motto, and this report's contained confidential information. Then you get to page 5, and it's methods of use for canvassing.
Okay,
Page 6. and
you've
it's
gone too far.
place.
The first 3 pages where it starts with their header page and it's dated March 8th, 2025. Those first 3 pages where it says, recently we were asked to provide information as to the correction, recovery, and prevention efforts as they pertain to the movement of sales and use tax revenue away from the city and into surrounding jurisdictions. Are you find that page?
I'm on that
Okay,
page.
so that page and the one right behind it, the bottom box where it says results on the second page. That's where he's saying, summarizing. And then the third page is just as a table only, and he's highlighted the dollar amounts that he referenced in his results box. That's separate from the agreement for services, because it was provided specifically as a summary so you could see what has been recovered independently of the monthly work.
7. Okay, so if we're gonna use that report, that you just proved my point for me, thank you. In 2024, of that year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those months, he provided less income than he was worth.
Well, he didn't provide that income. That's the total income generated through sales tax.
All I'm saying is I would like to revisit this contract. The contract, it costs us $1,000.
Okay, so back to the motion. You've asked for it to be on a future meeting, which is fine, but can you clarify what you would like to have available for that revisit?
If you provided everything here, it's just except for him. If he's gonna need to defend himself or claim, you know, whatever it is he's gonna claim, I mean, you provided the actual contract, which states when we, as a city council, determine that he cannot pay for himself any further.
All right, thank you. So, council, we have a motion on the table to bring this item to a future agenda with Ryan present. Do we have a second? Okay, the motion dies for lack of a second. Is there any further motion on this item? It doesn't have to be, but if anybody wants to take action, we can do that. All right, moving on then to Granicus. You do have, I think, 3 or 4 pages, past revenue management about Granicus. The first page is their budgetary proposal for this year. $3,778.17 is the pricing for the peak agenda management. That's the whole suite of information, the product. It's a software program where you can generate minutes, generate agendas, minutes, the attachments, the supportive documents are attached within the software. So this is up for renewal. We haven't moved forward on that yet. The reason that I said I would like to not take action on this item this month is because I have some calls into Granicus, have not been able to discuss with them, and would like to bring further information to the discussion. But certainly up to council if you want to do something different.
I would like to make a motion to cancel our service with Granicus.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
What's the motion?
To cancel the service with Granicus.
Do we use the service?
We have not used it since Nancy got here. She has not had all the training. We've not had good response in the last month when we try to reach out to them. I don't know what their issue is, but I certainly think that it's worth further discussion. No sense in spending money on something that isn't working for us, but I think it's worth a discussion to see what are we missing. So that's up to council. We do have a motion to cancel by Faith and a second by Courtney. This is the time for further discussion, so tell me what else you might like to know.
If we're not using it, why are we paying $3,700 for it? And she's making the agendas.
Right, she's doing it in Word. It's very manual, and we can continue doing it that way. The point of starting with Granicus was that it does the things for you, like, since you've already created the agenda, it's supposed to help with record retention for minutes and all of those sorts of things. But if we're not big enough to be using it, then that's council's decision. We could always hire them or another company later if that was the decision.
I think Burns wanted to know if Nancy had an opinion on it.
Well, he's a big boy. Thank you for...
Well, Nancy, do you have a...
I'm real sorry, but you're not on the floor right now. If you can hold just one moment.
I thought we were doing discussion.
We're still at Burns.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, I mean, you can ask her if you want to.
I'd just like to know what she thinks.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Jean Woman used it once, I used it once. It's honestly faster for me to do than Word.
All right, any further discussion? Did you have another item about it?
No,
You
I
already have a
just-
motion on the table. so-
Yes, I just
Okay.
think that it is going ahead and we'll be charged in just a couple of weeks on it, so I think we ought to make the decision tonight on it. If it's not being used,
Okay.
then we need to
Thank you.
not have
All
it
right.
anymore.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstain? I'm sorry, I didn't get everybody's vote. Can you tell me?
I voted for it.
Agree? Before,
I cancel it.
okay. So that's unanimous. All right, thank you. Okay. Item H was added improperly to the agenda, so we are going to skip that item. We do not have an executive session tonight.
Ma'am?
So we will-
Point of order, Mayor. If we're not going to discuss item H as it was added properly due to the Texas Government Code and Attorney General Code, then we will be having an executive.
So, Courtney,
Yes, ma'am?
a single member calling a city secretary and demanding an item be added to the agenda is not the proper protocol. As you know,
Demand, and it is.
I'm speaking, so if you could wait your turn.
Certainly.
All you have to do is ask for an item. My policy and practice has been the entire time you've been on council that anyone can call, email, and ask for an item to be added. What we're not doing is, at the 11th hour on a Friday, calling and intimidating an employee who hasn't had the experience of this yet into adding an item to the agenda. So we are happy to revisit this at a future agenda, but this is not the way to do it, and we are not going to consider this item. It is ill-considered. There is no supportive documentation provided.
Ma'am, that-
Excuse me, Courtney, you do not have the floor.
I did call for a point of order.
You do not
and that is
have
not
the
how
floor.
that happened.
Courtney, you do not have the floor. We'll get back to you in a moment.
Ask the mayor to follow her own code and policy of decorum. Her very own.
You will have an opportunity when I'm through talking, but stop interrupting. You do not have the floor. The point is, there is an easy, no-problem process to have something added. There are no supporting documents for this. Nothing has been provided. And frankly, if the council were to decide tonight to fire Olson and Olson, do you realize that our attorney would be required to get up and walk out? We would have no general counsel. And if this council decided to hire a special counsel, there's been no homework done on that, and there's no replacement general counsel. So this item can be provided, can be handled at a future meeting, but we are not going down
You
the
provided
action.
documentation tonight to council for this discussion to happen.
That doesn't have anything to do
It
with
absolutely does.
your request to fire Olson and
It
Olson.
absolutely does. You don't know that I'm not trying to protect this city and Olson and Olson.
Okay, well then, it would be great for you to request an item to be added in the proper fashion.
I did.
An
In
agenda is
100%
created by the mayor.
Proper fashion according
So-
to the Texas Attorney General.
Okay, so
Would you like me to
would-
read the code?
Frankly, I don't think you understand the code.
I do understand the
So-
code, clearly.
We have the opportunity to put this on the next agenda, if the council would like that. 3 council members could ask for that right now, and it would be in the record to be official to be on our next agenda.
That's
Do we
not
have
proper code
any-
either. Phil, help me out here. That is not proper either. That's called a quorum. If I had gone to 3 different people on this board and said,
No,
"Excuse
all
me,
you had to
I'd
do
like
was
your
ask-
permission to get something on the agenda."
What you would have had to do
That's a
was ask the mayor.
Ask the mayor.
You
That's
were
how
out
you
of
do
the
it.
city.
Really? Because you didn't call me, you didn't email me, you had a month to do it, and you didn't provide any of those
I
things.
simply called Nancy and said,
Phil,
would you
like to
please-"
weigh in on
I did not
the
demand
quorum of
anything. And again, you don't understand, maybe my agenda is to protect you, my friend, you.
Don't even
You
go
don't
there.
know. You don't even.
You're not
know.
my friend, as you've
I
made
wasn't
quite clear.
talking to you, I was talking to Phil. Can you please give some sort of advice to this council, outside of the mayor, on what we should do about this situation?
I think I've already offered you a
Right here
remedy.
in front of my face that we need to talk about. Somebody needs to talk about it.
Okay, so I don't know what that is, but more than likely, if we're meeting direct council, we can discuss them in the executive session. As far as adding agenda items, the agenda is set by the mayor. If a council member wants, and this is general practice and general law. Now, if you want a policy that sets individual council members can add on the agenda, it only takes 2, etc. But general practice under 551, it's the same thing with done when there's a public comment. There's a public comment and someone wants that item set for the agenda, future agenda. You have a motion by one council member to say, I want that item set for May 20th or whenever the next meeting is. You get a second, and then you take the vote on it, and then that item is set on the agenda. So, and at any time, even if it's not on the agenda, that's how you can set any item for any agenda as a council member. Is just say, I want to talk, I don't know, whatever, fill in the blank. I want to review, I think you mentioned like reviewing the contract of Texas Pride, right? You make a motion, I want to review the contract of Texas Pride on the next agenda. Take a second, take a vote. If you have 3, it's going to be on the next agenda.
Which is, in the past, is based on the fact that the city would have a policy that requires that, which we do not have. Correct, sir?
No, there is no policy.
There is no policy.
Right, so we're following the state guidelines. So we're following the state guidelines. So would you like to make the motion to add this item?
Now, we've asked to set policies, and that's not been put on the agenda either. So
Well, then we can make the motion, get a second, and get 3 votes, and then it will be on the next agenda.
Okay. I make a motion to have it at least put on the next agenda if we're not going to discuss it in an executive session tonight, like
Great.
you just said.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second by Courtney and Faith. Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. The motion fails. Moving on. Item 7 is executive session. We don't have a session planned for tonight, so we'll jump to item 10, reports. During the 2024 investigation conducted by the Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office, the City of Simonton cooperated as required with all legal requirements. We're aware of the recent developments, and the City of Simonton is not a party to the legal action. This is the official stance of the city, and any comments counter to that by city council members or city staff are their own. Regarding remarks made by individuals, as a city, we will follow the legal system, or allow the legal system, to work through its proper course. Remarks made by or published by individuals are not endorsed by the city. City Hall updates. Sheetrock is complete. Installation of sheetrock. Float and tape start this week. That's expected to go on for a week and a half, could be 2, just because of the sheer amount of it. The goal is for the entire project to be completed by the end of June. We'll have more updates as we go when the schedule for the subs has been revised, and Josh has given us the estimate of end of June. We'll keep everybody apprised of that. The TxDOT offline bridge replacement project, I mentioned that last month. It's on Fort Bend Drive at Valley Lodge Creek, where the floodgates are. The anticipated letting date, which means the funding date for that, is February 1st, 2027. So this is a 2-year process. The kickoff meeting was great. We've got entities from TxDOT, Fort Bend County, cities, the companies that have been hired to do the design work. Lots of input was given and collected so that the design phase can move on, and be sure and include things like Simonton's bridge is the only one that has floodgates in it, so it'll require some special design and not an out-of-the-box design that TxDOT prefers to use if they don't have any other impediments to it. So more to come as that progresses. Just wanted y'all to know that we did have that first kickoff meeting. The CDBG grant, which is also called the MITMOD for short, that's mitigation grant. We talked a little bit about that in roads and drainage a little earlier. That is anticipated to be kicking off actual work on the ground in early 2026. It's gone to contracts right now. That takes a couple of months, and there are multiple phases since this is a grant program. And make sure I got all of my updates for you. We already talked about the check for the opioid. The Fort Bend County Road and Bridge did give us a contractor called Texas Materials that we could call for information if our road projects are not moving along at the speed that we would like, the municipal projects, not the grant. I have not talked to them yet, but Fort Bend County has other cities that are already using them because our road and bridge is so covered up on their schedule already. It's taking a long time, as we've experienced. So I'll do more homework on that and bring it at a future meeting to council if we need it as an option. I think that is it for my updates. Nancy or Julie, do y'all have an update or report? Great, thank you, Phil. Thank you. I didn't list them separately, but the Keep Simonton Beautiful Committee?
Yeah, just a reminder that the spring roundup is next Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Daly Park. If you don't know where Daly Park is, it's right back here, but all of our stuff that we're putting out on Facebook, etc., here's the address, etc. We're bringing in some really exciting stuff. We have the Battle of the Badges softball game, and then we were not able to get a car show set up at the show, but we are asking all of our residents of Simonton that if you have a classic car or hot rod or whatever else, to bring it. I mean, it just helps pull some other people out. And then just something I'm excited about for our Christmas roundup is I've had quite a few conversations with the children's entrepreneurs. And they're actually children vendors that come out and bring their own goods and all that, set up their tents. They have to run them themselves. Parents are only there for a supervisory capacity, but they bring a minimum of 50 vendors. So considering how big Daly Park is, we can have anywhere between 50 and 150 children entrepreneurs, vendors, and but we at KSB are kind of excited about that because I think our own children can learn from that experience and, you know, hopefully maybe even join the children's entrepreneur. But anyway, some great things coming down the pike. But again, spring roundup is next Saturday, the 26th, I think is the actual day, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Hope to see all of your smiling faces there. The weather should be beautiful, and yes, we will have plenty of food trucks, the Kona ice truck, etc. So again, if y'all have any questions, just reach out to us. We're everywhere on Facebook, so thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. EDC A and B?
Nothing, ma'am.
Didn't meet this month, so I have nothing to report on.
Thank you. Council, any other reports?
I have two reports. One, for those of you out there who have never heard of Highway 36A Coalition, I'm going to encourage you to go look it up. It's coming. It will come directly through parts of our ETJ, Twin Woods. Ms. Palmer up here knows this already. They have been heavily involved for over 13 years, approximately. It's been in place for about 14 years. It's scheduled to bring billions, and when I say billions, I mean billions of business billions of dollars worth of business through our portion of town and from the Port of Freeport, or Port of Houston out of Freeport, and basically to be directed all the way up into the city of Houston. It is currently under construction. It is on the governor's priority path to be completed within the next few years. On that coalition as well, which is also really exciting news for anybody that has to drive through this little intersection over here, which I know we all do. That is scheduled, and they found the final permit that was stuck in somebody's inbox in a Fort Bend County email. Sue with TxDOT and Todd with OJA actually let me know that is scheduled. They found the permit they were waiting on, and that is scheduled to be done within the next couple of years. So a lot of exciting infrastructure coming. It's going to bring a lot of that growth that we need to move forward to into our zoning. Those particular items may not have been in plan at that point, so they're not part of our comp plan, but the Highway 36A Coalition.org, check it out, because it makes the state of Texas something it's never been before. We have never been able to bring in international trade except by rail car, and this will absolutely open the doors to, like I said, billions of dollars. And Twin Woods has basically thrown their land at the state of Texas and the commissioners involved to get it done. So it's a fantastic project, one I'm excited to be part of, and that's pretty much the end of my report.
Okay. Council, our next meeting is on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. We'll be back here, and we will adjourn at 8:01. Thank you, everybody, for coming.